Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, I know, like it's been almost like 4 months I think since I published anything on the YouTube channel, and I'm really sorry for this. I will do a vlog just to show you what I was doing for the last 6-7 months. It wasn't very excited except for the apart from some like travel I did. But basically it was very boring, just studying and working, but I'll tell you more in that video. Anyways, I wanted to do a video about, something that I've been kind of like having my head wrapped around lately. And the question is, why do people find it hard to leave their abusers? And it's something that I struggle to cope with in my own regard, because I've been looking at it from another side. So my mother was the one that was abused, both mentally, psychologically, and physically in the end. And I never kind of like fully understood it. I think it's due to my emotional connection to her, why she never left. And in a way it was one of my trauma healing processes. That took me to the journey to think about like what happens to people and why they can't leave the people that abuse them. Anyways, let's start from the beginning. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people that have been abused in their marriages have been abused in their childhood. And this took me down the road of looking at what my mom had in her life when she was a child. So basically, her family was very strict. So we're, coming back into Croatia, I think that's in like, kind of like 1940s. It wasn't Croatia yet either, it was Yugoslavia. And she was coming up from a very strict Catholic upbringing. So she grew up with, she was, I think, let me think. She was the fourth child. No, she was the third child. She was the third child. She has 2 older sisters, and then she was born, and shortly after her brother was born. So that was the first male a sibling that she had, and it was very important. Like in that time, having a male child meant, like that your family kind of continues on its legacy. And the child was born sick, actually. My uncle had hemophilia, and at that time that was something, like very hard to cope with. So I don't know, even if he had like the smallest cut, he would need to go and see a doctor. And a lot of attention that she should have got, she didn't get. Like the family before that, they were relying on my grandfather to care for the family. He had a business, he was a barber. But then, due to my uncle being sick, her mom had to get a job as well. So my grandmother was also working, and the older sisters kind of took care of the children of my mom as well, which of course they didn't do, And my mom told me the story of when she was only a toddler and she was like, like crawling around. She wasn't able to walk yet at that point, and she literally crawled into a barrel full of water, and she almost drowned. And only because like the neighbors saw her, they took her out of the water, or she would have died. She was treated really poorly. As I said, like the upbringing was awfully strict. She would get beaten up by her mother for, like not really important things even. She would literally, I remember her, she was washing the dishes, like, so she had to do everything like, from the early age, and she broke a plate, and then her mom would come home and say, okay, you broke a plate. I will go have a nap now because I'm tired, and then I'll beat you up. She literally told me the stories of when she got beaten up so badly that her mom broke her nose. And they weren't allowed even to socialize with boys. It was very strict, and even I remember that one story that made me really angry is when one of her cousins, I think she came to live with them for a year, and then my mom lost her place at the table, at the dining table, and she had to sit beside, like on a smaller table, feeling like she wasn't a part of the family. A very particular thing happened when my mom was telling me these stories. I was very angry. I thought that was unfair. But this was not the reaction that my mother had. She thought this was normal. And that was for me the first concerning thing, that, you know, you're not angry with your parents because they raised you this way or they treated you this way. So basically the abuse started very early on for her. She wasn't treated right. But that became a part of her normality, a part of her normal life. And that's kind of very concerning, you know, because she couldn't see that the behavior of her parents was not right. And I remember even when my grandmother was very sick and we would all come in, you know, to see her because it was evident that she's gonna die. And my mom told me this very particular story, that was the first time in her life that she felt stronger than her mother. And it was a very weird feeling that she had, and she felt ashamed of it even. She felt like, oh, you're small now and I am big. Her mom, like my grandmother, I didn't really have a relationship with her. She barely cared about us grandchildren. She didn't even want to take care of us or anything. She was very, I don't think she would even have children if it was up to her. You know, I probably think she would be like a career, you know, driven person more than being a mother with children. I think that was all a drag for her. And you know, like I think, like listening to all the stories that my mom had, that she was abused by her own mother early on. And then there was a lot of sexual shaming from my grandfather, that I don't know, if a co-worker from work would drive my mom home, he would slap her and call her a whore. And coming up from that kind of background, it's really it's really evident how this prepared her to become a perfect material for another abuser. And luckily, it wasn't the way that my upbringing was. I mean, like, I lived in a different time, and even though I was dragged to the church and was taught to behave in a certain way, you know, turn the other cheek and stuff, it's something that didn't work with my character. But I had resources to look into, you know, like we're talking about time when there were no resources. And that entire generation in Croatia even was severely abused. I literally barely know a woman from that time in Croatia that wasn't abused. So basically what I'm saying, a lot of things start from the home. A lot of things actually start from your family upbringing, and this is a fertile soil for someone else to take on and, you know, plant more evil. It's something that happened to my mom, and I'm actually ready to share her story now. Tell me what you think. I'm gonna continue on with different, you know, reasons, but I think this is a very valid one and a very important one. Tell me what you think about in the comments, and I missed you all so much. I'm so happy to be back and to be able to do more videos. Have a great day, and I'll see you. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye!